Dear Angie, I hope you are doing well, and I hope that you read this letter and that you are able to help me. I feel really lost right now, and I'm not quite sure what to do. Lately, things have been tough between me and my girlfriend, and I'll call her M. All we seem to do is argue, and it's beginning to worry me. I love her, I do. But there is so much tension between us, and I can feel that I am slowly losing her. I don't understand why I struggle so much to communicate my feelings. Instead of talking things out, I end up raising my voice or saying something that I shouldn't, something that I really don't mean. It's like I can feel this rage inside me, and I don't know how to stop it. Work has been super stressful lately, and on top of that, I have money worries too. And I know that I take that crap out on her. I haven't been the easiest person to be around right now, but I don't want to be that guy that can't handle his emotions. It's hurting her, and that hurts me. I guess what I'm asking is, how do I deal with my anger when it comes up? What should I do when she's getting on my nerves? And believe me, as much as I love her, she does get on my nerves at times. I don't want to keep fighting over stupid stuff though, but I just can't help it. I feel stuck, but I don't want to lose her. I really care about her. Any advice you can give me would mean a lot. I really appreciate it. Thanks in advance, Sean. Now, I have spoken to Sean, and he has given me permission to read this letter to you all. So if you're interested in knowing what I believe needs to happen when you're in the middle of conflict and fighting with that special person, those few things that you need to do to get you both back on track, well, if you want to know, and if you're interested in this topic, then you know what to do. And that is, don't go anywhere. Now, the first thing that I would suggest that you don't do, if you don't want to escalate that fight, that argument, and that is to call each other names. Now, I don't mean anything bad or anything crazy. Even simple things like, you're nuts, or you're crazy, or you're an idiot. Those things hurt, especially when you're in the middle of a fight and you're not seeing clearly or straight anyway. So I would suggest that you avoid name calling altogether because it's hurtful and it's damaging. Now, another thing that I would suggest that you avoid when you're in the middle of a fight, although I know it's difficult because I think we are all capable and we have all done this at one point or the other, and that is to talk over that person. Because if you're talking over somebody, that means you're not really listening. And if you're not listening, that means that you don't really care to resolve the problem and you're not interested in what they have to say. So even though you can't wait to say what you want to say and it's there and you have to get it out, try taking a breath and listening to that person and let them finish before you start. So don't talk over that person. It's not an effective way to communicate and you're not going to resolve anything. If anything, it just makes things worse. Now this one, I have to be honest, is a pet peeve of mine. If you think that during the middle of an argument, you can just get up and walk away, when you come back, what do you think you're going to get? Do you think it's going to be better when you come back in an hour's time, 2-3 hours time, when I've had all that time to fester? It's not going to be good for you. So no, I suggest that you do not walk away in the middle of a fight. It doesn't resolve anything and it just leads to more tension and unresolved issues. Although If you think it's getting out of hand, if you think that you are losing control and you're about to do something that you know you shouldn't, you know what I mean, then yes, in that case, take the time that you need, get up and walk away. I'd rather you do that. As distasteful and as horrible as I find it, I would rather you do that than do something worse. You get my drift, right? Now, another thing I know that is very common, and we all do it when we argue and when we fight, and that is shifting the blame onto the other person. Yeah, you did this, and I heard what you said, and you're the one. Yeah, it's very easy to do that. But you know what? I think it's just our way to avoid responsibility, and it can also breed resentment. So I would suggest, instead of saying you did this or you said that, try saying we. Even though you might think that you had nothing to do with it, that it wasn't your fault, it was that other person's fault. But just by using the word we, it just shows that you still see the two of you as a unit in the good and the bad. So when things are good, it's we. And even when things are bad, it's we. So yeah, blame shifting really is something to avoid. Ooh, now this is a powerful one, and it's also an ugly one, and that is to give ultimatums. I know that in the moment it might feel good because it grabs attention and it makes the other person listen, but threatening the end of a relationship really just brings fear. And even when the argument is over, it still remains with the other person. So not unless you really do want to end the relationship, and that's where you think you're going towards anyway. But if you're not, and if it's a relationship that you want to save, I personally would not give out ultimatums. It's ugly, and to be quite honest, it's not really fair. Another thing that I would suggest that you avoid when you're arguing, when you're in the middle of a fight with your special person, and that is dismissive body language. Although, to be honest, sometimes I think we don't even realize that we're doing it. But that is things like crossing your arms, rolling your eyes, those kind of things. It creates a distance. It shows contempt. It shows that you're not really interested and you really can't be bothered to listen to them too much. And also it gives the idea that you think that they're kind of less than. So yes, I would pay attention at that body language and try my best to be as neutral and as open as possible. Now this is a big one too, and that is, don't hold grudges. And that means don't be dragging up today something that they did a month ago, 6 months ago, a year, 5 years ago. It's not fair. Or you forgive or you don't forgive. If it's something that you've worked through, then you need to let it go. And it's really not fair to keep bringing it up. I think that if somebody does something to you, if it's a deal breaker, then you walk away. But if it's something that you say that you forgive, you might not forget about it, but if you forgive it, then you really do have to forgive it and let it go and not bring it up again. Don't throw it in that person's face, because I know that in the moment you might get some kind of satisfaction, because let's be honest, when we argue, when we fight, we don't always want to be fair, and we also want to hurt the person a bit too. We do, right? And it feels good sometimes to sling and to throw something back in their face, but it really isn't pretty and it really isn't fair. So if you want to have a future and if you want to carry on in peace, I would suggest that you don't drudge up and you don't keep bringing up the past. Now, another thing that we do sometimes when we're fighting, and that is that we assume things. And what do I mean by that? I just simply mean, yeah, I know what you were thinking last night when you went to bed, and I know what you meant when you said. Now, instead of asking the person, what did you mean when you said that? Or what were you thinking when you went to bed last night? We just assume that we know. And sometimes we may be wrong. So instead of just assuming, thinking that you know, ask the person. That way they can tell you their side. You can listen to it, you can evaluate it, and you can discuss from there. But there's no point in discussing something that is one-sided because only you believe that side of the story. So don't assume anything, because you know what they say. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Now this one I know, that every single person who's ever had an argument is guilty of this one, and that is raising your voice. I mean, it's normal. You want to get your point across and you're all fired up and you want them to hear you, just want them to be quiet and listen to what you have to say. But shouting doesn't really make you right. Just because you shout louder or raise your voice doesn't mean that you are in the right. And in some situations, shouting can be also scary. I personally believe that some things that are the most important to hear are the things that are said quietly. So yes, if you can, don't shout, because you'll shout, then they'll shout, then you shout louder, and it's never ending. Try your best to keep as calm and as neutral as possible. It's hard, I know it is, but you can do it. Constantly nitpicking and criticizing that person can really do a lot of damage to their self-esteem. And I'm sure that you don't want to do that. I know it's hard, especially if you're angry and you're all hot and bothered. But if you can, in that moment, try and pay a compliment. Show your gratitude. You say, you know what? I know that we've been fighting a lot, but I really do appreciate, and I may not say it often enough, but I recognize and I appreciate all the work that you are doing around the house. Or I do appreciate how much effort you're putting into our relationship. Whatever it is, whatever it comes to mind, show a little bit of gratitude. Say thank you for something. Say how grateful you are for something. Instead of that constant criticizing that will only bring pain. Now, sometimes during the course of an argument, you're going to have to figure out what is more important to you, being right or having peace. Now, me personally, I would choose peace every day of the week, because sometimes, yes, you might be right, but at what cost? Continuous bickering and fighting and carrying on and just a headache. Sometimes it's just best to say, you know what, you're right, I understand. Even if you think they're wrong. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as later on, when you're a bit calmer, when things have calmed down a bit, then you can address it again and try and get your point across and make that person understand. But if in the moment when both of you are heated, it's not going to happen. And it takes one person, the bigger person, to realize that in that moment, even though I'm right, I'm going to step back for the greater good and for peace. And then you address the situation later. Because if you're anything like me, and I have to be honest, if I think I'm right, I might not make you understand it in the moment, but sooner or later you're gonna. It's the truth. And this leads me to the final one, and that is, don't be afraid to apologize. Even if you're right, you can still say sorry. There's nothing wrong in taking a step back in front of the person that you love. It doesn't make you whipped. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you a simp. It just makes you the bigger person. So yeah, every now and again, you know what? You just step back and say, you know what? I am so sorry. You are right. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean for us to get into this argument. What can I do to resolve the situation and make you feel better right now? For me, there is nothing wrong with that. And again, if later on when things are calm, you want to broach the situation and broach the topic again, then go for it. But for me personally, peace, peace, peace. Every single time. When I was younger, I used to enjoy a little bit of a fight and, carrying on and screaming and shouting. It was fun when I was younger, when I had the strength to do it. Now, as I get older, life is downhill for me now. I'm too old to be here fighting and carrying on. I'm on the way down. I haven't got time to be fighting over foolishness. All I want is peace. All I want is quiet. So yes, don't be afraid and don't think there's anything wrong with saying, I'm sorry. Just apologize. Why not? Please excuse me fanning myself. It is so hot over here in Milan. I am melting and I have to turn off the fans and the air conditioning while I'm filming because they're a little bit noisy. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, Sean, for reaching out to me. And thinking that I could help you is touching, although it's not really what I do, but I hope I was able to help you. And the fact that you knew that you were in trouble and that you were hurting M says a lot about you, shows that you are a good man. I wish you all the best. I really do. Thank you all so much for stopping by and keeping me company. It was good seeing you, it always is. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Take care. Bye for now. Whew. Ciao.